My wife declared, "From now on, I decide when we spend time together. Stop bothering me." So I did exactly that, 2 weeks of absolute silence. When she suddenly showed up at my job, I finally. The words hit me like a slap while I stood in our kitchen doorway, holding takeout from her favorite Thai place. "From now on, I decide when we spend time together. Stop bothering me." Lauren didn't even look up from her laptop. Her fingers kept typing, the blue light washing over her face in the dimming evening. I'd texted her 3 times that day asking if she wanted to grab dinner, maybe catch that movie she'd mentioned last month. All 3 messages sat on read. "I brought pad thai," I said quietly. "Great. Leave it on the counter." Something in my chest went cold. We'd been married 6 years. Together for 9. I knew her moods, her stress patterns, the way she got tunnel vision during big work projects. This felt different. The dismissal in her voice carried a weight I'd never heard before. I set the bag down and walked to our bedroom. My phone buzzed, a text from my buddy Marcus asking if I wanted to hit the gym tomorrow morning. I stared at it for a long moment, then typed back, "Yeah, I'm in." That night, Lauren came to bed at 2 a.m. I pretended to sleep. She didn't touch me, didn't even shift close enough for our bodies to meet under the sheets. The gap between us might as well have been a canyon. The next morning, I left before she woke up. No note. No text. Marcus met me at the gym at 6 a.m., and we went through our usual routine, chest and triceps, then 20 minutes on the treadmill. He asked how things were going at home. I told him fine, which was the kind of lie that becomes easier with practice. Work consumed my day. I'm a project coordinator for a construction firm, which means my phone never stops and my inbox breeds new problems faster than I can solve old ones. Usually I'd text Lauren during lunch, send her a meme, ask about her day. Instead, I ate my sandwich in my truck and scrolled through nothing on my phone. She didn't text me either. Day 2 passed the same way. Then day 3. By day 4, I noticed the absence had a shape to it, like negative space in a photograph. The silence wasn't uncomfortable anymore, it was clarifying. I started seeing things I'd overlooked. Like how Lauren had been working late 4 nights a week for the past 2 months. How her phone was always face down now. How she'd changed her passcode and never mentioned it. How she'd started dressing differently for the office, sharper clothes, more makeup, a new perfume I'd never seen her apply. I'm not an idiot. The signs were there, written in neon. But confronting them meant acknowledging something I wasn't ready to face. So I kept my distance and watched. Marcus noticed the shift during our Friday workout. "You've been quiet this week." "Just thinking." "About?" I adjusted my grip on the barbell. "You ever feel like you're living in a house with a stranger?" He spotted me through another rep before answering. "Rachel and I went through something like that. Year 3 of our marriage. Turned out she was depressed and didn't know how to tell me." "How'd you figure it out?" I asked. "We talked. She cried. I cried. We worked through it." I racked the weight and sat up. What if talking isn't an option? Marcus gave me a look that said he understood more than I was saying. "Then you've got bigger problems than communication." That weekend, Lauren announced she was going to visit her sister in Portland. She'd be gone the whole weekend, leaving Friday night, back Sunday evening. I nodded and said nothing. She seemed almost relieved by my lack of questions. After she left, I sat in our living room and really looked at the space we'd built together. The couch we'd picked out at IKEA during a snowstorm, laughing as we got lost in the showroom maze. The gallery wall of photos from our wedding, our honeymoon in Costa Rica, camping trips and birthday parties and ordinary Tuesday nights. The coffee table I'd refinished by hand because she loved the wood grain. Everything looked exactly the same. Nothing felt right. I spent Saturday with Marcus and his wife Rachel. They had me over for dinner, and I helped Marcus install new light fixtures while Rachel made lasagna. Their 2 kids ran circles around the house, and the noise and chaos felt like a reminder of what a real home should sound like. Warm. Alive. Full. "You doing okay?" Rachel asked while we set the table. "Yeah, why?" "You seem distant. Marcus said you and Lauren have been having issues." I appreciated her directness. "We're figuring some things out." She touched my arm gently. "If you need anything, a place to crash, someone to talk to, whatever, you call us. Okay?" The kindness almost broke me. I managed to nod and thank her before the kids burst in demanding dinner. Sunday evening came. Lauren texted at 6 p.m., "Flight delayed. Be home late." I texted back a thumbs up. She walked through the door at 11:30 p.m., dropped her bag, and went straight to the bedroom. I was on the couch watching a basketball game with the volume low. "Good trip?" I called out. "Fine." That was all. Monday morning, I got to the office early. My boss, Tom, had been writing me about a project timeline for a commercial development downtown. The general contractor kept moving goalposts, and I was caught in the middle trying to coordinate electricians, plumbers, and HVAC techs who all wanted to work in the same space at the same time. I buried myself in spreadsheets and phone calls, grateful for the distraction. Tuesday, Lauren texted me, "Can you grab groceries on your way home? We're out of milk and eggs." I stared at the message. First direct request in over a week. I typed back, "Sure." Then I turned off my phone notifications and went back to work. I didn't get the groceries. I drove home the long way, stopping at a coffee shop I'd never been to before. Sat there for an hour reading a book on my phone, drinking espresso, existing in a space that had nothing to do with my life. When I finally got home at 8 p.m., Lauren was already in bed. The next morning, she confronted me in the kitchen. "You didn't get the groceries." "Forgot. I asked you specifically. You said I was bothering you. So I stopped." Her face went through several expressions. Confusion, then anger, then something that might have been guilt. "That's not what I meant." "What did you mean?" She turned away, poured coffee into her travel mug. "I just needed some space." "You've had 2 weeks of it. Don't be dramatic." I watched her add cream and sugar, the same routine she'd performed every morning for years. "Who is he?" The mug stopped halfway to her lips. "What?" "The person you're seeing. Who is he?" I don't know what you're talking about." "You're a terrible liar, Lauren. You always have been." She set the mug down hard enough to slosh coffee onto the counter. "You're being paranoid." "Am I?" "Late nights at work, new clothes, changed your phone passcode, this sudden need for space. Should I keep going?" Her face flushed. "You don't trust me. You haven't given me a reason to." We stood there in our kitchen, 6 feet apart, the air between us thick with everything we weren't saying. Finally, Lauren grabbed her keys and walked out. The front door closed with a quiet click that sounded louder than any slam. I called in sick to work. Spent the day deep cleaning the house, moving furniture, reorganizing closets. Physical activity helped me think. In the back of Lauren's closet, behind a stack of shoeboxes, I found a receipt from a restaurant downtown. Dinner for 2, 3 weeks ago. Thursday night. She'd told me she was working late on a presentation. The receipt showed 2 entrees, 2 cocktails, 1 dessert split. The total was $147. We hadn't been to a nice restaurant together in months. I took a photo of the receipt and put it back where I found it. That evening, Lauren came home at her normal time. She seemed surprised to see me there. "You're home early." "Took a personal day." "Oh." She set down her bag, looked around at the cleaned house. "You cleaned?" "Needed to do something." We ordered pizza for dinner, safe, neutral, requiring minimal interaction. We ate in front of the TV, watching a cooking competition show neither of us cared about. The contestants made elaborate desserts while Lauren and I sat 3 feet apart on the couch, not touching, barely speaking. "We should talk," she said during a commercial break. "About what?" "About us. Things have been tense." I muted the TV. "Whose fault is that?" "I know I've been distant. Work has been intense." "Is that all it is?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. "What else would it be?" "You tell me." The silence stretched. The commercial break ended, and she unmuted the TV. Conversation over. I went to bed early, leaving her on the couch. Thursday, Marcus asked me to grab beers after work. We sat at a bar near the gym, watching hockey highlights on the mounted TVs. He waited until I was halfway through my first beer before getting to the point. "Rachel's worried about you." "She doesn't need to be. She thinks you're going through something." "So do I." I stared at the condensation on my glass. "Lauren's cheating on me." Marcus went still. "You know this for sure?" "Pretty sure. All the signs are there. Found a receipt from a fancy dinner she told me she was working through." "Did you confront her?" "Sort of. She denied it. Said I was being paranoid." "What are you going to do?" I drained my beer and signaled for another. "I don't know yet. Part of me wants proof. Part of me doesn't want to know for sure because then I'd have to do something about it." "You can't just ignore it." "I'm not ignoring it. I'm giving her exactly what she asked for, space. No texts, no calls, no checking in. She wanted me to stop bothering her, so I did." Marcus shook his head. "That's not a strategy, man. That's avoidance." "Maybe. But it's interesting watching what happens when I actually pull back. She's starting to notice." The bartender brought my second beer. Marcus waited until he left before speaking again. "You deserve better than this." "Yeah. I'm starting to realize that." We watched the hockey game in comfortable silence. Marcus didn't try to solve my problems or offer platitudes. He just sat there, a steady presence, and somehow that helped more than any advice could have. Friday morning, I got a call from an unknown number while reviewing project blueprints. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Daniel Martinez? Speaking. This is Detective Sarah Chen with the Portland PD. I'm calling about your wife, Lauren Martinez. My blood went cold. Is she okay? She's fine. I'm calling because her name came up in an investigation we're conducting. Do you have a few minutes to talk? I stepped outside the office, into the parking lot where no one could hear. What kind of investigation? I can't give you many details, but we're looking into a colleague of your wife's. She's not in trouble, but we need to verify some information. Can you tell me if your wife was in Portland last weekend? She said she was. Visiting her sister. Do you know which hotel she stayed at? She didn't mention a hotel. I assumed she stayed with her sister. There was a pause. Papers rustling. Can you provide your sister-in-law's contact information? I gave her the details. My hands shook as I gripped the phone. Detective, what is this about? I really can't say much. But I'd recommend you have a conversation with your wife. There are some things you should probably know. The call ended, leaving me standing in an empty parking lot with more questions than answers. I tried calling Lauren. Straight to voicemail. I tried her sister Emma. No answer. I went back to my desk and couldn't focus on anything. Every scenario ran through my head, each one worse than the last. By lunch, I'd convinced myself Lauren was involved in something criminal. By mid-afternoon, I'd talked myself back down to a reasonable conclusion. The detective was investigating someone at Lauren's work, probably her affair partner, and Lauren was a witness or had information. At 4 p.m., my phone rang. Emma, Lauren's sister. Hey Daniel, sorry I missed your call earlier. What's up? Quick question, was Lauren with you last weekend? Silence. Then, why are you asking? Just answer the question, Emma. No. She wasn't. I haven't seen Lauren since Christmas. The world tilted slightly. She told me she was coming to visit you in Portland. I don't know what to tell you. She definitely wasn't here. If she calls you, don't mention we talked. Please. Daniel, what's going on? I'll explain later. I have to go. I hung up and sat very still at my desk. The office sounds faded into white noise, phones ringing, keyboards clicking, someone laughing at a joke I couldn't hear. Lauren had lied about Portland. The detective from Portland had called about an investigation involving someone at her work. The pieces were connecting, but the picture they formed made no sense yet. At 5:30 p.m., I left work and drove to Lauren's office building downtown. I parked across the street with a clear view of the entrance. Felt ridiculous, like a character in a bad TV show, but I needed to see something with my own eyes. Lauren emerged at 6:15 p.m. She wasn't alone. A man walked beside her, tall, probably mid-30s, wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly car payment. They stood close, too close, and when he put his hand on her lower back to guide her toward the parking garage, she didn't pull away. I took photos with my phone. Zoomed in as much as the camera allowed. Got clear shots of their faces, their body language, the way she smiled up at him like he'd just said something charming. They walked into the parking garage together. I waited. 15 minutes later, a silver BMW pulled out with both of them inside. He was driving. She was in the passenger seat. They turned left on Main Street, heading toward the nice part of town where all the upscale restaurants clustered. I didn't follow them. I'd seen enough. Back home, I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, staring at the photos on my phone. The evidence was right there. Undeniable. Real. I forwarded the photos to my own email, backed them up to the cloud, then deleted them from my phone. Inside, the house was dark and empty. I turned on lights, heated up leftover pizza, sat at the kitchen table eating mechanically while my mind raced through options. Confront her tonight when she got home. Wait and gather more evidence. Call a lawyer. Pack my bags. Stay and see what happened next. My phone buzzed. Lauren, working late again. Don't wait up. I didn't respond. She came home at 11 p.m. I was in bed, lights off, pretending to sleep again. Heard her shower, brush her teeth, slip under the covers on her side. The gap between us felt infinite. Saturday morning, I woke up to an empty bed. Found a note on the kitchen counter, went to yoga. Back this afternoon. I called Marcus. Can I come over? Yeah, of course. Everything okay? Not really. Rachel made coffee while I told them everything. The Portland lie, the detective's call, the photos of Lauren with her colleague. Rachel's eyes went wide. Marcus's jaw tightened. You need a lawyer, Marcus said. Like, yesterday. I know. My cousin deals with family law. I can get you his number. Rachel leaned forward. Before you do anything drastic, you need to talk to Lauren. Maybe there's an explanation. There's no explanation that makes this okay, I said. She lied about where she was. She's seeing someone else. I have photos. I know. I hate seeing you go through this. We sat there, drinking coffee in their sunny kitchen while their kids played in the backyard. The contrast between their life and mine felt stark. They had what I thought I'd had: partnership, trust, a future. I'd been living in a fantasy. Marcus's cousin, David, agreed to meet me Monday morning. I spent the rest of the weekend in a strange state of calm. Lauren came home from yoga and we coexisted like polite strangers. She asked how my day was. I said fine. I asked how yoga was. She said good. We ordered Chinese food and ate while watching a movie neither of us paid attention to. Sunday night, she actually tried to initiate a conversation. We haven't really talked in weeks. No, we haven't. I miss us. I looked at her. Really looked. Tried to see the woman I'd married, the one who used to laugh at my terrible jokes and fall asleep on my shoulder during long drives. Couldn't find her anywhere in the person sitting across from me. What do you miss? I asked. Just how we used to be. We used to tell each other everything. The irony nearly made me laugh. Yeah. We did. Can we try to get back to that? I don't know if we can. She looked hurt. Good. Why not? Because some things change people. Once trust is broken, you can't unbreak it. I haven't broken your trust. I stood up, collected my plate. If you say so. Monday morning, I met David at a coffee shop before work. He was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I showed him everything: the receipt, the photos, the timeline of lies and late nights. This is pretty straightforward, he said. No kids? No kids. Assets? The house. We both have 401ks. 2 cars, both paid off. Some savings. Debt? Student loans, mostly paid down. Credit cards are clear. David made notes on his tablet. Oregon's a no-fault divorce state, which means you don't need to prove infidelity to file. But having evidence of an affair can affect things like spousal support, especially if she's been spending marital assets on this other relationship. What do I need to do? First, gather documentation. Bank statements, credit card statements, any evidence of purchases or expenditures you can't account for. Second, don't do anything stupid. Don't move money around, don't destroy property, don't confront the affair partner. Third, decide if you want to try counseling first or go straight to separation. No counseling. I'm done. David nodded. Then we'll start the paperwork. I'll need a retainer of $3,500. After that, we bill hourly. I transferred the money from my savings account right there. Felt surreal, paying someone to end my marriage over coffee and muffins. But also felt right. Like I was finally doing something instead of just accepting the situation. Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m., I was deep in budget spreadsheets when our receptionist called my extension. Daniel, you have a visitor at the front desk. Who is it? Your wife. My stomach dropped. Tell her I'll be out in a few minutes. I closed my laptop, straightened my desk, and walked to the lobby with my heart hammering. Lauren stood by the reception desk, wearing her work clothes, her face tight with something between anxiety and anger. Can we talk? She said. I'm working. This is important. The receptionist, Brenda, was watching with undisguised interest. I led Lauren outside to the parking lot, far enough from the building that no one could hear us. What are you doing here? I asked. You've been ignoring me for 2 weeks. You barely speak to me. You won't tell me what's wrong. You said you'd decide when we spend time together. I'm respecting that. Don't be childish. Something in me snapped. Childish? You want to talk about being childish? How about lying about Portland? How about the dinners at fancy restaurants while telling me you're working late? How about the guy from your office with the BMW? Her face went pale. You followed me? Didn't have to follow you very far. You weren't exactly hiding. That's not, he's just a colleague. Save it, Lauren. I don't want to hear the excuses. She grabbed my arm. Please, just listen. I'm done listening. I'm done with all of it. You wanted space? You've got it. Permanently. What does that mean? I pulled away from her grip. It means I talked to a divorce attorney yesterday. You'll be getting papers soon. The color drained from her face completely. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything. Daniel, please, we can fix this. There's nothing to fix. You broke us. You made your choices. Now I'm making mine. I walked back toward the building. She called after me, voice breaking, but I didn't turn around. Brenda looked up when I came back inside, questions all over her face, but I just shook my head and went back to my desk. My phone exploded with texts from Lauren. I read the first few, desperate messages about how I was overreacting, how she could explain everything, how we needed to talk properly. I muted her contact and focused on work. At lunch, Marcus called. Rachel just texted me. Lauren showed up at our house crying. Are you serious? Yeah. She's asking Rachel to talk to you, to convince you to give her another chance. What did Rachel say? She told Lauren to leave. Said you don't need anyone's permission to make your own decisions. I felt a surge of gratitude for Rachel's loyalty. Thanks for the heads up. You doing okay? Honestly? Yeah. I feel clearer than I have in weeks. That evening, I came home to find Lauren sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. I walked past her to the bedroom and started packing a bag. She appeared in the doorway. Where are you going? Marcus said I can stay with them for a while. You're leaving me? I folded a shirt, placed it in my duffel. You left me weeks ago. I'm just making it official. I never left. I'm right here. No, you're not. You're somewhere else. With someone else. And you've been trying to keep both lives going, but it doesn't work that way. I made a mistake. I stopped packing and looked at her. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. What you did, lying, sneaking around, building a whole separate life, that's not a mistake. That's a choice. A series of choices. I was confused. Things with us got so routine, so boring, and then Ryan started paying attention to me. Ryan. So that's his name. She covered her mouth, realizing she'd given me more information than she intended. Is he the one the Portland police are investigating? I asked. Her eyes went wide. How do you know about that? A detective called me last week. Asked if you were really in Portland. I said you were. Then I called Emma, and she told me you weren't. Lauren sat down hard on the bed. Oh my gosh. What did he do, Lauren? What's Ryan involved in? I can't talk about it. The lawyers said. So there are lawyers involved. Great. That's just perfect. I zipped up my bag and slung it over my shoulder. She stood up, blocking my path to the door. Please don't go, she whispered. I love you. I made a horrible mistake, but I love you. You don't get to say that anymore. You don't get to lie to my face for months and then claim you love me when you get caught. It wasn't like that? Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Help me understand how lying about Portland, how sneaking around with Ryan, how telling me to stop bothering you, help me understand how any of that means you love me. She couldn't answer. Just stood there crying while I pushed past her. I drove to Marcus and Rachel's house. They'd set up the guest room for me, had clean towels on the bed and a new toothbrush on the bathroom counter. Rachel made spaghetti for dinner while their kids told me about school and soccer practice. The normalcy of it all was jarring but comforting. That night, lying in an unfamiliar bed, I felt something unexpected, relief. The constant tension of the past weeks was gone. No more pretending. No more wondering. Just clarity and forward motion. Wednesday morning, David called. Lauren's attorney reached out. She wants to discuss terms. Already? She's probably panicking. That's good for us. When people panic, they make concessions. What kind of terms? She's proposing an uncontested divorce. Split assets down the middle, no spousal support for either party, clean break. I'll take it. Don't agree too fast. Let me review everything and make sure we're protected. I'll have a response by Friday. I went to work feeling lighter than I had in months. My boss noticed. You seem different today. Just got some personal stuff sorted out. Good. Because I need you sharp. The downtown project is running into permitting issues, and I need you to untangle it. I dove into the work gratefully. Spent the day on the phone with city officials and contractors, solving problems, making progress. It felt good to fix things that could actually be fixed. Thursday evening, Lauren texted, "Can we please talk? Face to face? Just once?" Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a neutral coffee shop, sitting across from each other at a small table in the back corner. She looked exhausted. I'm not going to make excuses. Good. Ryan and I started as friends. Work friends. Then it became more. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't seem to stop. He made me feel, I don't know, alive. And I didn't? You made me feel safe. Secure. But somewhere along the way, safe started feeling like boring. I stirred my coffee, processing that. So what happened in Portland? We went together. He had a work conference, and I went with him. Told you I was visiting Emma because I knew you wouldn't question it. And the investigation? She hesitated. Ryan's been embezzling from the company. They figured it out 2 weeks ago. He's being charged with multiple felonies. The police called everyone he's been involved with, including me, to see what we knew. Did you know? No. I swear I had no idea. But being associated with him, being questioned by police, it made me see how stupid I'd been. How much I'd risked for something that wasn't even real. Is it over with him? Yes. Completely. The moment I found out what he'd done, I cut all contact. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in weeks. Saw the regret, the shame, the genuine pain. Part of me wanted to comfort her. Part of me still loved her, despite everything. But a bigger part knew the truth: loving someone isn't enough when the foundation is broken. I appreciate you telling me all this, I said. But it doesn't change anything. Can't we at least try counseling? No. Because even if we fix the symptoms, the underlying problem would still be there. You chose someone else. You chose to lie. Those aren't mistakes you make because your marriage is boring. Those are choices you make because you're not committed. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I am committed. I want to fix this. You want to fix it now because your affair partner turned out to be a criminal and you're facing consequences. If Ryan had been who you thought he was, would you even be here? She couldn't answer that. We both knew the truth. I stood up. Your attorney contacted mine. I'm going to sign the papers. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, Lauren. I really do. But it's not with me anymore. I left her sitting there and walked out into the crisp evening air. Felt like shedding a weight I'd been carrying for years without realizing it. Friday, David called with good news. She signed everything. Uncontested divorce, equitable split, no support payments. She's even agreed to let you keep the house if you buy out her half within 6 months. I'll make it work. You also need to know, the company Ryan worked for is pressing charges. Lauren's in the clear, but she's likely to lose her job by association. Her attorney mentioned she's already looking for work in another city. Where? Denver, apparently. She has a friend there who works in her field. So she was leaving. Maybe that was for the best. Clean break, fresh starts for both of us. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. I bought out Lauren's half of the house using money from my 401k and a small loan from my parents. She moved to Denver the week after the papers were signed. We communicated only through attorneys. Marcus helped me repaint the living room, and Rachel brought over new throw pillows and a plant. New chapter, she said. New look. I stood in my kitchen one evening, 3 months after Lauren had walked out with the last of her boxes, and realized I felt good. Not happy in the delirious way, but content. Stable. Grounded. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma, Lauren's sister. I'm sorry about everything. You deserved better. I appreciated that she'd reached out. Texted back, thanks. I hope you and Lauren stay close. She'll need someone. She does. She's struggling. But that's not your problem anymore. Emma was right. It wasn't my problem. For the first time in months, I had no problems that weren't mine to solve. No lies to uncover, no affairs to confront, no marriage to salvage. Just my life, clean and uncomplicated. 6 months after the divorce was final, I ran into Lauren at a coffee shop during a work trip to Denver. She looked different, shorter hair, new glasses, thinner than I remembered. We stood there for an awkward moment before she spoke. Hi. Hi. You look good. Thanks. You too. Silence. The barista called out someone's order. People laughed at a nearby table. How's the new job? I asked. Good. Better than I expected, actually. Fresh start has been healthy. I'm glad. You seeing anyone? The question surprised me. No. Not really looking yet. Me neither. I think I need to figure out who I am before I drag someone else into my mess. I nodded. That's probably wise. She shifted her weight, looked at her feet. I owe you an apology. A real one. What I did was inexcusable. I hurt you deliberately and repeatedly, and I'm sorry. I appreciate that. Do you forgive me? I thought about that. I'm working on it. Forgiveness takes time. I understand. She picked up her coffee from the counter. Take care of yourself, Daniel. You too, Lauren. She walked out, and I watched her go through the big glass windows. Felt nothing but a distant fondness for who we used to be and relief that we weren't trying to be that anymore. A year after Lauren told me to stop bothering her, I stood in my backyard at a barbecue with Marcus, Rachel, and a dozen other friends. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Someone had brought a guitar. Rachel's kids were running around catching fireflies. Marcus clinked his beer against mine. How you feeling? Good. Really good. Yeah? Yeah. Best I've felt in years, honestly. He smiled. It shows, man. You seem lighter. I was lighter. Lighter without the weight of a failing marriage, without the constant suspicion and doubt, without trying to be enough for someone who'd already decided I wasn't. My phone buzzed. A text from a woman named Jessica I'd met at a work conference 2 weeks ago. We'd exchanged numbers, had dinner once, talked for hours about everything and nothing. She was asking if I wanted to grab lunch tomorrow. I texted back, yeah, I'd like that. Marcus noticed my smile. Who's that? Nobody yet. Maybe somebody eventually. Good for you. We stood there as the evening deepened into night, and I realized something important. Revenge hadn't been about proving Lauren wrong or making her regret what she'd done. The real revenge had been choosing myself. Walking away. Building a life that didn't require anyone else's validation. She'd wanted space. I'd given her infinity. And in that infinity, I'd found exactly what I needed: freedom, clarity, and the understanding that sometimes the best payback is simply moving forward. The divorce papers were filed away in a drawer I rarely opened. Lauren was somewhere in Denver, building whatever life she'd decided to pursue. And I was here, in a backyard full of friends, with a future that looked nothing like my past. When she'd told me to stop bothering her, she'd thought she was taking control. Instead, she'd given me permission to let go of something that had been slowly killing me. So I did. And it turned out that was the best revenge of all: not needing revenge. Just living well, moving forward, and leaving the past exactly where it belonged.